I am prepping for one of my favorite things in the entire calendar, which is my birthday mastermind. I want to convince you to give a birthday mastermind a try. And even if you don't do a mastermind on your birthday, like me, I want you to still give yourself a mastermind at some point during the year, because it is one of the most transformative experiences you will ever go through. And I'm gonna give you a few ideas. I'm gonna give you a call to action if you wanna go deeper with me, where I'll literally be mapping out my birthday mastermind with you side by side, and you'll get a real case study of how do you actually facilitate something that is elevated, where it doesn't just feel like, people hanging out around the TV, or, another team meeting, or some sort of, small group session. How do you actually have a high leverage mastermind that, other people may pay a lot of money to be a part of, and now here you are giving it away to a few folks in your inner circle, and you're investing that into your network, and it's just a life-changing experience. So if that interests you, stick around and I'll see you on the other side with more details. Okay, so a number of years ago, I wanted to grow. I wanted to be better, and the birthday was for me January 1. Now, my birthday is not on January 1, but what I'm saying is that I treat my birthday with higher regard than January 1. What January 1 represents to everybody else, that's what my birthday means to me. It's my way of showing up differently for that new year. And I take time, and I go through the exact same process in many ways that I'll go through with founders and leaders. I seek the Lord, I pray, I get His perspective, I get a new map for that next chapter, and then I go to work at interpreting what was shared in more of a prophetic space, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do we now make this practical? How do we apply this? And then how do we execute on it for the year? And I didn't even realize that I was going through the reps even years and years ago. I'm talking 20 years ago, just personally as a teenager, just doing this thing every year, just personally trying to get some updated, understanding, go through an identity upgrade, and then try to show up in that new way for the year. And then it just kind of kept going and growing, and I was learning so much, and I wanted my friends to benefit from what I was learning, and I didn't know how I would get them all in the room. And so I kind of ambushed them one year, and I said, hey, come for my birthday party. And so they're all expecting, coffee and birthday cake. And instead, I'm like, all right, guys, here's the deal. And I start going mastermind mode on them. And I thankfully have some really gracious friends in my life. And so they went along with it, and it kind of stuck. It became a thing. And I can't tell you how awesome it is to actually practice your future, to show up in the way that you want to be, and to talk about that and to work on that. And that's what this birthday mastermind became. It was a space where I could work on the future I wanted, and then I could learn how to bring others into that experience. And now I get to have these amazing birthday masterminds where I help my friends work on the future they want. And it's more than just goal setting. It's more than just personal growth. It definitely has that in it, but what it's kind of become just over the different iterations is something I couldn't have anticipated, because it just gets better every single year. It like compounds year after year. And obviously there's compound clarity, but there's also compound community, which I think is just really cool. So it's almost kind of become a reputation of its own. It's a little bit of a notorious mini private conference that we get to, be a part of together. And I'm dreaming. I mean, I can see these birthday masterminds multiplying. I want to do masterminds the rest of my life. That's really one of my sweet spots is, yes, I can communicate in large settings, and I think that's a part of, my work. But if I'm talking about really tapping into some heart culture and like where I really come alive and what I'm excited about is going deep with a handful of high capacity people. And thankfully these high capacity people are my friends, but I'd love to meet new friends. I'd love to do this more and more. And I did this for fun for like years, and I didn't know I was practicing my future. And now these are some of the same experiences that I'm bringing into coaching, that I'm bringing into, founder settings and all kinds of settings, really. I mean, I'm showing up in so many different fields. And it's funny because it feels like my birthday. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I love doing this. I actually do this stuff for my birthday. And so let me just get into some notes and we can kind of picture what would your mastermind look like. And, a mastermind is really a private group that is pulling together to connect. They're coming together to strategize. They're coming together to work together, either to help each other or to actually start rowing in the same direction with some sort of shared initiative. My first encouragement is like, don't skip on your birthday. In fact, your birthday is really important. Your birthday is like your lifeline with your creator in some ways. And obviously your new birthday, right? If you're a believer, the day you realized your need for Jesus and you become born again. So these milestones in your life are significant, right? And that's all I'm saying is don't just skip over that and say, oh yeah, it's just another day, whatever. I mean, even if you're working on your birthday, then go into the work day and say, this is going to be a little different. I'm expecting something fun, something that I didn't, make happen on my own. I'm expecting the Lord to show up and in small ways just share his love and his good intentions towards me again, and to help me, calibrate for whatever he knows is coming up next. This is not in my notes, something I just thought of. But every year when we were kids, my mom, who is amazing and epic, and if she's watching this, I love you, Mom, but she would give us a lot of, birthday gifts like normal, but then she would always kind of put in the gifts a Jesus present. And it was meant to be something that would help us be more oriented to the fact that we had a personal relationship with the Lord. And so Jesus present, basically she was giving us prophetic encouragements and, things that would speak to us. And she knew what made us tick. She knew the metaphors that had a lot of meaning to us, whether it was sports or nature or travel or whatever. And so she would lean into that, and so it might be a picture. And then there was like a scripture that would kind of go with it, or it might be a new Bible, or a certain kind of book or whatever. And so this happened for years and years. And then I remember whenever we got out of high school, she said, okay, no more Jesus presents. And you're kind of like, wait a second, what? And she said, you have to get your own now. And you have to wait for the Lord to show up in a way. And so like every year we've just kind of grown this anticipation of, yeah, there's going to be a Jesus gift somewhere. And I love that, this is, you're looking into a little bit more of my interior. And I just want you to get to know me. And, I do have a really rich faith journey, and I don't take credit for it, but I definitely want to show appreciation for it. And so don't skip your birthday. Expect the unexpected to happen, and be open and be, teachable and be like, hey, this is going to be an amazing year, and I want to make sure that I have something new, to bring into this new year as well. And so with that in mind, I think one of the highest investments that you and I can make going into a new calendar year is to host or to leverage your birthday party, if you still get those, as a birthday mastermind. And, for me, I wanted to accelerate my progress. And I felt that the best way I could was to shift from student to teacher, or at least from, private to enthusiast. And I was like, if I can articulate the biggest concepts that have helped me make the biggest paradigm shifts in the past year, then I get to go to the next level. And that's what I want to share with my friends year after year. It's like, they don't need to know everything that I've gone through in the past year to be my friend, but I do like to give a little field report every once in a while, and I want them to know where I'm at, because I don't want to basically be treated the same way every year. I want them to see that I'm growing. I want them to see that I've expanded my capacity, and I'm trying new things, and I'm learning new skills, and my worldview is reaching further out into the world. And I want them to just kind of re-meet me, I guess. My wife and our friend Kelly, they have the podcast, the Honesty Club podcast, and I think one of my favorite podcasts, and there are jillions, they've done an amazing job. I think they crossed the 200 mark, 200 episodes. And I think still one of my favorite episodes is called Re-Meet Me. And we need to do that. Like, we can't take each other for granted. There's a verse, and it says, know those who labor among you. And so many times we're just doing the work, or we're at least doing the work of life, the chores and the responsibilities and the commuting and all of the touch points that we have. And we're just kind of showing up and, hey, how are you doing? Great. Hey, how are you doing? Great. But when do we actually slow down and look at each other in a way where we get to see them, and we see their story again, and we see their courage again, and we see their hopes and their frustrations, and we say, hey, I'm watching you become in real time. I'm watching you become, and it's amazing. And to think that we as people have that capacity to really grow and change, and it's heartbreaking when you see someone, spiral out of control. You actually see them changing in real time, but it's likewise, it is enjoyable and inspirational when you see someone actually changing for the positive. And so this is that little moment where you get to drop your own birthday card and be like, guys, it's my birthday. We're going to do what I want to do. And I want to take time and grow. I want to grow with y'all. I want to show you how much I have grown. I want to share with you what is helping me grow. And I hope it benefits you, because if we are not growing together, we are growing apart. If we are not growing together, as friends, as comrades, as coworkers, as founders, leaders, if we're not growing together, meaning we're not putting in the reps to reflect and to resource one another, then we are drifting. We're drifting apart. And the only thing that we have loosely, frail little links are the memories that we share of like past versions of ourselves. And man, this is such a big point to me, because if you care about your relationships, you're going to do relational maintenance. And a part of relational maintenance is taking time to see how far they've come. And you don't get those opportunities all the time, but if you are intentional, I hope that even doing this once a year or once every few years is still sufficient to appreciate the progress that people are making in their life, and then to encourage them. And if you want to be on someone's good side, so to speak, then always default on their future self. If you want to be on somebody's good side, always default on their future self. Now, it is true that it is possible to get paranoid about the future, to be afraid of the future, to be overwhelmed by the complexity or the decision fatigue that is around the future. But that is actually not the default of the future. The default of the future is hope. And whenever you are actively relating to the future in a hopeful way, a healthy way, you get energized. And so that's why we love the new year, and that's why we love our birthday, and that's why we love looking ahead, whether we're thinking about a vacation that we've booked, or we're thinking about hanging out with our friends, in a few days, or we're always anticipating something good, and it's that expectation of good that helps us go through the steps and go through the work that's needed. And I found that if you want to really grow your relationships and deepen your rapport with other people, and I mean like at a high capacity level, then you need to default on the future side. Now, it's good to get background and context, and I think if we can help people find clarity and closure with some of the inner workings, or maybe even the wounds that they've gone through, then that's a blessing for sure. That's a good thing. But if you want to really, really be on someone's good side, and they're like, thank you, I feel supported, I feel seen, I feel celebrated, right? I'm using that language from my sister. She talks about that a lot. I feel seen and celebrated. Way to go. Then be on the future side and dream with your friends and dream with your team members. If you're a manager, dream with your direct reports. Say, hey, where would you love to see yourself in this role, 3 years from now? Where are you heading? Where are you going? And what you're doing subtly is you're positioning yourself not above them, towering down, but actually side by side. And you say, I want to journey with you. And there's nothing more encouraging than to have that kind of camaraderie and that kind of companionship on the journey. And that's what we're doing, is like, I know I need to have friends with me on the front lines to make this year, successful. And if I do not, this is like a really critical piece of my plan to have a great year, is I'm gonna be leaning on these people. And so I've got to make a really deep deposit before I begin that year. And how else could you do that? We have to learn how to say thank you in multiple ways, not just with our words, but with our actions and with our consistency and generosity and all the above. So don't skip your birthday, leverage it to accelerate your progress, but then also to bring people into that hopeful future, to share that story with others, and focus on where you're going, right? That's the theme of every birthday mastermind is future. Where are we going? What are we taking on next? And you get to hear it from each other, but then you'll actually find some common ground and you say, let's do this together. I think anytime you can get people that care about you around you, the best version of you is going to come through. And so I loved being in that environment where people were rooting for me. They wanted me to grow. They wanted me to level up. They wanted me to show up differently. And, just people mean well, but they just can see you with familiarity. And they don't mean to, but they get familiar with you, right? You just become a part of the furniture. And so if you can get in a space where your future self is actually shining through in the form, and it's not all developed, right? It's like you got to put in work, and you're just talking about what if, and that'd be nice, and that kind of stuff. But if you can actually connect with what's possible, then you will feel unstoppable. And that's a rare gift, to be in this kind of setting with people that let you dream. And you get in a space where you courageously model that, and then other people are like, man, I want to dream too. And then you start dreaming together. And I just feel like the emphasis right now is dream again and again and again and again, because your dreams are driving you somewhere. Your dreams are actually driving you towards a hopeful future. Your dreams are driving you towards a reality. And hurt and pain and offense and brokenness actually drives you somewhere too. But let's let the better virtues drive us into the hopeful future. And why not do it with your friends? So it's been phenomenal for me to just show up in a space where I can just talk about how I've grown and where I'm going, and then bring others into that story. And you're like, okay, it sounds good, but your description, Peter, sounds a little messy. So like, is there a structure? Is there a plan? How do you do this? You're just kind of talking about how awesome it is, but like, how do we actually see the steps? That's what the next round of this conversation is going to be about. So I'm tapping out right now, and I want to give a short commercial break, and then we'll sign out. I am so pumped that basically what I do for fun on my birthday, I get to do with founders and leaders now, which is my mission and branding intensive. And this is a deep dive into strategy and creativity all around you, your story, your work, and what you're pioneering. And I want to join that story, and I want to help you navigate and create the next chapter of it. And it's a really life-changing experience. I mean, my life gets changed when I help people, so I can't imagine what it's like to be that person being helped. And obviously, I've had people speak into my life and workshop stuff with me. So I just really believe this is a valuable experience. And so make sure that you check out the Mission and Branding Intensive sooner than later, because if you're watching this like as of this recording, then you get access to the bonuses which are coming out at the beginning. So please take advantage of these bonuses. They're going away on December 11th, and I want you to access all of the bonuses before they go away. Also, I'm going to keep doing this, but it will be spaces limited. So please make sure that you can just raise your hand sooner than later and jump into this. It is more than just a conversation, for sure. There is a real transformation that happens because we basically get fresh language for your identity upgrade, and we figure out what have you been like working on and working towards privately, and now how do we prepare to roll that out into your field and into your context of leadership. So, man, I could go on and on about that, but I want you to just act soon. Do not hesitate on yourself, and definitely don't procrastinate on your impact, because other people are counting on you. And so take advantage of this opportunity while it's here. The Mission and Branding Intensive one-on-one deep dive with me, where we basically bring the guts of the birthday mastermind into your field. Stay encouraged, stay engaged, and remember, the future has so many fields waiting for you, so prepare to go there.